Hedgerows represent connectivity. Hedgerows represent a home for so much wildlife. They are sort of quintessential English landscape feature, and that's a really important part of our cultural heritage. Getting more hedgerows into the landscape is really important, but it's not just more hedgerows, it's better hedgerows. It's really exciting to see more and more people be interested in hedges and share the passion that I have for our hedgerows. A bit hedge obsessed, I think a lot of us are. So in the UK, we have lost, in the last 80 years, we've lost 52% of our hedgerows. So basically half of our hedgerows, so 500,000 kilometres of hedgerows. The moon is 380,000 kilometres away, and we've lost 500,000 kilometres of hedge. So we're talking about a distance like significantly further than the moon if you were to lay those hedges all along, which is a crazy thing to imagine. So we have lost half of our hedgerows, but I think it's always important to note that we have the other half left, and there's a lot we can do with the other half and looking after the other half better, as well as getting more hedgerows planted. We wanted to run a project that was about connectivity of people, and connectivity of hedgerows, connectivity of habitats, and that involves getting people involved, getting more hedges in the landscape, but also improving the existing hedges. We're really lucky in Hampshire that we've got both the South Downs National Park and the New Forest National Park. The project is aiming to create connectivity between the two national parks, and create connectivity between the natural spaces between the two national parks. So we wanted to put work in there that's under the sort of developmental pressure, which a lot of the countryside is, and look at getting more hedgerows and better hedgerows in those areas.
Doing stuff like this, and you've got all these people turn up, and it's like people really care, and people really care, and people are giving up, young people are giving up their Saturdays to plant hedges in the rain and mud. That's quite cool, and that's something to be happy about.
Funnily enough, although London is technically considered a forest, I can probably count on my hand how many times that's actually true. Since I don't really work in restoration as my job, I was like, this is a great opportunity to do it, and I know how to dig, so here I am today.
Hello, my name's Rachel from Beechcroft Farm in Winchester. The CPRE have been really fantastic to come out and help us plant some hedges. I'm the 5th generation farmer on our farm here. We're a full livestock farm, lamb, beef, pork, and so what we're trying to do is enhance our biodiversity really, and adding more hedges and biodiversity is really the next step for us to improve and hopefully leave a good legacy and leave the farm in a good stead for the next generation, hopefully. Every year we do a bit of a review of the farm, and for a lot of years now this length of fence has been crying out for shelter for our animals, but also to create a bit of a connection between a couple of copses as well. So the CPRE gave us that opportunity to do it because we're only a small family farm. We didn't have the resources to do it, so these guys turning up and being able to do it has actually got the job done, as it were.
So hedgerows are a brilliant habitat in their own right. You know, lots of wildlife will use them as part of their life cycle, live in them and breed in them and forage in them. But another thing that hedgerows are used for often is as a corridor, as a safe travel from A to B. And so using hedgerows to improve connectivity between copses and woodlands and other important bits of habitat in the agricultural landscape is kind of like the aim of the project overall. But also, we're wanting to increase connectivity of people to hedgerows and to the farming landscape, which I think we've been doing a really good job at, getting lots and lots of people out onto farms and connecting with their local farmers and their local spaces that's all surrounding them. So what we're planting are fake ancient hedgerows. So we're planting a dominant thorn hedge with other species like smattering along the hedgerow. So we're not planting in blocks. What we're doing is we're having hawthorn all the way throughout, which is going to be better for the hedge. Got a whole group of volunteers out today, and there were 26 people this morning, and yeah, it's quite cold and windy, so slightly fewer than when we started, but we're doing a really good job. We've definitely reached the 200 metre mark today, and we're aiming for about 250, so we might make that.
It's really easy as farmers to sort of close ourselves away and go, no, we don't need any help, you know, we can do everything ourselves. But actually it comes to a point where one has to go, actually we can't spread ourselves that thin. So the volunteers coming today to do this hedge has been an absolute game changer, and we're so grateful. I don't think I've got the time to do it, but it would be lovely to have a new skill of hedge laying, because that's not something we've done on the farm before, so it'd be nice to get some guys in to lay the hedges.
So hedge laying takes advantage of a plant's natural response to being knocked over. So when a plant's knocked over, down at that point of stress, it will send out shoots. And so laying a hedge is where you carefully do that, reducing the amount of rot by cutting carefully and cutting off the heels, and taking advantage of that to thicken up the base of a hedge. So I always describe it as if you imagine this is your hedgerow plant, and then if you cut 3/4 of the way through that stem or 4/5 way through that stem, you're left with this long tongue called the pleature, and that means you can flex it over and then you cut off that triangle of wood. And that means that you've created that stress point where the new growth will come, that you've kept your hedge plants intact, and by bending them over a diagonal, then you're maintaining that stock-proof barrier and allowing the new growth to sort of knit through it, and therefore you get this really dense hedgerow as a result of it. And the stakes and binders hold that all in place while that new growth is not yet fully grown. It's not just a craft, and it's not just like an art form, it's actually like an essential part of hedgerow management, and hedges must be laid as part of their life cycle. Like, hedges are a dynamic system and need to be laid sort of every 20 years. We're trying to bring that skill back into land management practices. We're working with farmers in order to sort of help them improve their hedgerow management plans.
When you've got a naturally regenerating constant supply of scrub, you don't need to plant stuff. That's true. So I happened into hedge laying, and I couldn't be more thankful for it. I find it's almost like a meditation as you're laying, because all of your senses and almost all of your body is involved in it. You can't really focus on anything else except the thing that you're doing. You get that feeling of interconnection between the coppicing to make the stakes and the binders versus the laying of the thorns to create this, this art form.
We need way more people doing the hedge laying work. There is enough hedges to be laid that we could have more people doing the profession. It's fantastic that hedge layers do the hedge laying work, and we really need them, but we want it to be seen as something that a diverse range of people can get involved with. So we're running a traineeship programme to get minority groups into hedge laying.
I'm part of the new traineeship for the CPRE. So it's a 5-month traineeship, and this is my 3rd month now. So part of the traineeship, we got our chainsaw cross-cutting licences, and then we've been training under expert hedge layers. So Paul's South of England champion, I believe, or something fancy. A very open, supportive community. Everyone's very keen to pass on their knowledge. I think especially with it being such a almost generation gap, and they see someone young come into it, they're so keen to take on and run with a new person to teach. Again, Paul has been fantastic. He was taking apprentices for a while, and the CPRE funding actually allowed him to take on the apprentice. It's a lot of pride of being part of something like so historic and long-lived, and that you know is going to almost outlive you.
You can see when you're laying a hedge, the person who's done it before you. You might come across the old pleaches that have been laid before, and someone will go, oh yeah, I remember I did that 15 years ago. And it's really rewarding to then think, oh, and I'm the one doing it this year. I wonder in 15 years who'll be doing it next. Will it be me again? Will I have taught somebody else? But just to have that continuation of knowledge, like how the hedges connect up different bits of land, they also connect up different people in terms of being able to teach the craft, learn the craft, talk about the craft. I mean, anyone who's laid a hedge tells somebody that they've laid a hedge. It's like somebody's a pilot. Like you have to talk about it once you've done it.
I think it's really important that we get women into this profession and younger people into the profession.
I don't tend to see too many people like myself out.
It's really important to have representation of people who look like you doing the things you want to do, and that gives you the confidence to then do it. So we need more people who look like me, I suppose, and who look young, and yeah, to encourage more people that it's definitely something that we all have the ability to do. It's just learning. It's just learning something, yeah. It's just a new skill.
There's obviously more women involved than I thought, and because there's so many involved, there's a network of support, so it doesn't feel particularly isolating. It was surprisingly easy to get stuck in and not feel like a sore thumb stuck out, really. So there's really no reason girls shouldn't take a bigger part in it.
I initially thought that I wouldn't have a lot in common with the old men who I was working for, to be honest. And now my friends look at me and they're like, Megan, you basically are an old man. Like even my music tastes changed. I'm listening to 70s rock now, you know, that kind of stuff.
I think people want to get reconnected in the earthy stuff. Can't do anything about that big global stuff, but when you're working on the land or you're working in a hedge or you're coppicing, you can make a marked difference. And if you see a butterfly or you listen to the birds, or there's a sudden break in the clouds and the sun comes through, you know, it's those little moments that are really good for the soul. I learnt from an old boy called George. He's in his 90s now. He was dead against chainsaws. And I introduced him to the chainsaw, you know, a long time ago. And he taught me so much. So it's my time to offer that information forward. That's the only way that this craft is going to have a future. If people who have been doing it pass on the tips to make their lives easier, because they can work really hard, but that might not motivate them to come back again tomorrow. If you give them a good tip today, then it's like, oh, that's made my life easier, then my shoulder doesn't hurt. And it's, yeah.
It's tradition, it's British tradition, it's something not uniquely British, but a lot of mainland Europe got rid of all of theirs in the quest for timber and increase agricultural production, which means we destroyed across the country. So while it's not exclusively British now, it is pride of place, it's ours, but we do it best, so it's nice to do something very British.
It's really rewarding to lay a hedge and to look at the work you've done after a day's work and to see actually really very beautiful creation, and that you know is going to be useful for wildlife and beneficial for the hedge.
I find that if I've had a difficult week, I'm just thinking, oh, I just want to go back to the hedge, go back to that, do a little bit more of that, and then all for an entire day it will pass, and I think all it is hedge lay, cup of tea, hedge lay, cup of tea, and that's my whole day, and it's great. Those are my best days of the week.
I don't know. I love it and I just do it. Even in this. Ah, the rain on your face. It's just great, isn't it?